Welcome to Chapel Pilates. This is our full body homework program. This is Louise who's going to do it. So we're going to start today with pelvic clocks. So we come into the supine position. We're breathing deeply into the whole body, in through the nose and out through the mouth if that's comfortable. Otherwise, just letting the breath flow in and out as it is easy for you. And then with the breath, we then begin to rock the pelvis forwards and back. Naturally, Louise is following an exhale as the pelvis comes towards her and an inhale as it goes away. There we go. And she's seeking out, each time the pelvis goes away, she's seeking out the sit bones so that we're mobilizing into the hip socket. And then we come and find the middle point, and then we go from side to side. One hip bone rises, one hip bone falls. One rises, one falls. And the motion's quite gentle. Ideally, we're looking for this to release tension, to mobilize in the hip sockets and around the pelvis. Lovely. And then we're going to take it all the way around the clock. So we circle, seek out each sit bone into the waist, across the waist and round to the sit bones and the tailbone. And you can fan out through the tail feathers as the pelvis rolls away from you. And then you can go back in the other direction. You could imagine here that the pelvis is a bowl of soup, and you're moving that soup around, reaching the rim and moving around. Sometimes I like to think about warm, melty chocolate instead. Okay, and then we settle the pelvis. This helps us to have a good base, a good platform to move from with the rest of the exercises. Then we're going to reach the arms up in the air. Palms are facing each other, and we're going to reach up towards the ceiling as far as you possibly can, allowing your ribs to fall into the mat underneath you. Then you're going to widen the collarbones and draw the shoulder blades back down. So we're doing this range of movement up and down, moving the shoulder blades on the back of the ribs. So as the hands go up, pause here, the sternum is going to sink down and down and down, and then the collarbones widen at the front as the arms come down. So we know that we have a lot of stiffness and tension around the head, neck and shoulders just from our activities of everyday living. So this is a really easy to do to work on that. Last one. And rest there. Bring your arms down. So then we bring the heels a fraction closer towards your bottom, ready for a movement we call bridging. We don't want to force the heels too close and create tension around the knees. It's important that there's still potential for movement at the knees. So the arms are long by the side of the body. We're wide into the upper back, ready to bridge. So you reach your knees forward, shins forward, and the pelvis lifts. Take a breath into the back of the body so we don't lose this connection, and then melt the spine back down, letting your tailbone go, and remembering the clock you did at the beginning and again. You're not going to go as far with that movement at the end, but you want to feel like you release and let go. There we go. Let the sit bones fan out a little bit more. There you go. Stand in the feet, reach the shins. That weight that we had when we did the shoulder shrugs through the sternum is still here. So we're not thrusting the chest to the ceiling, it's melting down as the pelvis rises up. Beautiful. Good. We'll do this one more time. Beautiful. And then you're going to hug your knees tight in towards your chest. Good. So we're going to go with assisted roll up. Place the hands at the back of your thighs. This is combining really the movement of the spine but coming up to sitting. So the feet, we're going to imagine they're as heavy as lead and they're coming down towards the floor, and you can see that then triggers the head to come up and you end up sitting all the way upright, looking straight forwards. So now those heavy feet stay where they are, and you roll your pelvis back away, and then gradually the feet drift off the floor. Then we go again, the heavy feet, and we're connected through the upper body to come up. Sit tall, lift the sternum. Leaving the feet as long as you can. You roll your sacrum, drop it back, keep dropping it back. Nice. And with each and every one, it gets easier and easier as you warm up the spine, as the abdominal muscles start to understand how they need to drop back. Those tight hip flexors that create indecision in the pelvis, they start to fall back. This time we stay seated. So we roll, drop this back so you come over. Nice. And then we stay seated. How does that feel? Brilliant. It's getting better and better each time. So you're going to now come and sit facing your right that way. And we're going to just sit with the legs crossed today for Mermaid. All right, that's perfect. So you can do this if you know Mermaid, you can do it in a Z sit and you can switch the leg position. But for simplicity's sake, we're keeping it with the legs crossed. You feel the pelvis anchored down, the arms are to the side. They're not behind you because that would then change the orientation of the upper part of the spine. We want everything to be smooth and easy. So the crown of the head is reaching out of the pelvis. This left arm's going to come up and paint a rainbow over to the right, and we side bend. These ribs are opening like a balloon is inflating underneath the ribs. And then we come back heavy through the pelvis on that side, and we're going to go to the other side. So we're alternating sides. The hand's going to move a little bit further forward so that you can press into the hand. That's it. To create more connection through the shoulder girdle. So when you push into your hand, excellent. And even as you meet the hand on the floor here, if you push it, it will create a little bit of lift in the armpit and more openness on the other side. So on the next one, we're going to stay over. So it's really nice to hold this position and breathe into the ribs. So with each and every breath here, Louise, I want you to imagine that there's a balloon you're inflating and it's getting bigger and bigger each time. That's it. You know, when you actually blow up a balloon, it starts off a bit tough and there's a bit of resistance there. And the more air that you put in, the more flexibility there is. That's it. And then slowly drop that hip and come up, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. How nice is that? Yeah. So again, we meet the hand to create lift up in the armpit on the side nearest the floor and more openness on the opposite armpit. So the pelvis is staying vertical as we're breathing into the ribs. And we're going to have lots of reach through the little finger side of the arm as you're there. Beautiful. And then drop that hip and restack. Fantastic. So great. So facing this way for assisted roll back just into the 100 is what we're going to do. So we use the exercise that we already had, and we roll the sacrum back. So I'm going to pause her here just to invite a little bit more drop back. And this drop and fall back. And this is important because this is what most of you will do at home, is get stuck there. Marry the legs together. We're now ready to go into the 100 where we beat the arms. That's it. The legs are married together. They're bent. They can be here away from the body or they can be further in. They can also be extended out. But what's important is that you're really up and over your sternum and reaching through the arms as vigorously as you can to help you stay up there. It's called the 100 because you do 10 deep breaths in and out and 5 pumps of the arms for each inhale and each exhale. It's not necessary to do 100. It's not necessary to do even 5 pumps per inhale and exhale. You can do what you can control. So you can see Louise is very stable here. She's not bouncing up and down with her whole body. Her legs are secure and she's very, very. Then we're going to bend the knees in, hold the back of the thighs again, and that's going to take us back up to sitting. So we use the assisted roll up to come up into that seated position. Excellent. That was brilliant. So you're going to lie on your right side. You're going to bend your underneath leg, support your head with your arm, and extend the top leg. So we're going to do a little bit of side kick. The waist is naturally going to sink into the mat because you're lying on your side. When you lift this leg and reach it, it will create a little bit of air. There doesn't have to be a gap. Our bodies are all completely different. It's not about a gap. What it's about is finding that length and integrity from the leg into the spine. So have that little bit of air there. And just nice and simple, we're going to lift and lower this leg without the hip moving. So a nice trick at home is if you make a C shape with your hand and put it around that hip, and that's going to be your measure. That shouldn't press up into your hand. It should just stay the same all the time. If it presses, it means your leg has gone too high. So just reduce that range of movement a little bit. So we can see Louise has her foot flexed. We're going to now point the foot and reach away. So that creates a slight change in what's happening up the body. And Louise is breathing just naturally in and out, just for survival, it's fine. Okay, and she's gazing straight forward to be sure that the head is in line. Great. And then we're going to hover the leg and circle. Let's have a pointed foot and just a small circle. Great. Beautiful. Feeling okay, Louise? And then we're going to flex the foot to change direction. Keep reaching the leg away. So as you get more tired, as you're doing the exercise, the leg can start sinking up towards the body. Well done. Rest there. Bend your knee. Fantastic. So then you're going to roll over so that we can show the other side of the movement. So you're supporting your arm. You're not pushed up on your hand and your elbow. You're resting down like a little pillow, or you could even use a little pillow if there's any reason why you can't bring your arm into that position. The leg is going to line up with the body. Just edge that forward. And you're going to start with the lift and lower, hand in a C shape on the waist. That's such a helpful trick, especially if you have any low back niggles that are, if you've got chronic low back pain. When you get into this position, it's much harder for you to stabilize the pelvis and to keep stable through the lower back. So we're going to keep the rib cage in the body, and we're going to just be moving the leg. So it's harder this side. Yeah. So on this side for Louise, I can see that it's harder to stabilize. Usually we have one side that is slightly harder to stabilize. It might be because of an injury, it might be an imbalance in the pelvis, if you've had children, all sorts of things can cause that. So we just have to concentrate a little bit harder, maybe go a little bit slower. Sometimes we just need to make the movement even tinier to be sure that we're not moving into the spine, that we are just moving the leg in the hip socket. Brilliant. And then point the foot. So we change that foot position. There we go. And your leg is drifting behind you slightly. So we'll just keep it here. And open into the back of the ribs. At home, if you can line yourself up with a wall or the edge of the sofa or something just to give you that feedback, because often what happens is we thrust the ribs forwards and really want to keep the roundness of the ribs at the back. All right, and then we did circles, so we can circle with flexed foot or pointed, it's fine. We're going to do it both. It's getting tired now, isn't it? It's fantastic. Now Louise does these sorts of things all of the time, but they still are tough to do. We still need to keep doing them because the world that we live in is not helping us stay strong in our body. It's making everything so easy, change and point. So easy that we don't have to use our own strength. That's brilliant. And have a little rest there. Isn't that magic? You feel even, lie on your front facing that way. The next exercise we're going to do is called diamond press, and this is a great one to counteract working at a desk or long drives, that kind of thing, because that really flexes us forwards. We've done some movement to teach us how to get out of that, like the bridging and the assisted roll-up. Now even more so. So for diamond press, you place your hands underneath your forehead. So here we've created a diamond shape there. Okay. And it's going to be a very small motion that we do. And it's going to begin by pulling. And then relax. When we pull with the hands and the arms, the shoulder blades naturally start to move down and under. And then relax. The lower back is long, so there's no movement or tension in the lower back. Your sacrum is reaching away. And the legs are just long. They're not squeezing, clenching. Some of you at home will be squeezing your bottoms. Totally unnecessary, okay? Let them go. They've just been working from that last exercise. We let them go. So we pull this way, and as we do that, you're then going to start to send your heart forward. So we get this teeny tiny upper back extension, so bending backwards. And then we press out and wide and we sink into it. So again, we get that little pull to invite the scapula around, the shoulder blades round, and the heart comes forward. And then we lengthen and spread out. Is that feeling okay, Louise? Yeah. And that relationship between the pull and then the heart coming forward is really important. You have to find that relationship. Otherwise, you'll push down into the mat or you'll bend at your lower back. And really we want to target this bit. One more time. Good. And you can see Louise's gaze is just lifting a touch. That's perfect. Great. And then we get to rest the upper body. So you can go ahead and just rest your head into your hands. So have your head one side or center. Then we're going to do some movement for the legs. It's called swimming legs. So first of all, we're just going to rock the pelvis from side to side. And noticing that as you go from side to side, the legs are responding to that. So we get a little bit of length out in opposition. So pause to one side and then pause over to the other side. Great. And then find the middle. Good. So in that middle point, we're then going to start to reach one leg, 1 foot away from the pelvis. The pelvis isn't going with the leg, but the leg is lengthening. So much so that it floats up, it levitates, and then it melts back down. Now what you can see with Louise is she's got a big range of movement. This is a big range of movement. At home, you might feel like you just barely lift off at all, but you feel the length. That's fantastic. A lift will come. If you sit at a desk all day or you drive your car a lot, those sort of activities make us quite tight and flexed and folded in at the hips. So this is a great thing to do to combat that. But if you're stuck there, it's not going to come super easily. You need to take time to edge your way into it. And the other thing to watch out for is that you're still lengthening your sacrum away as you lift. That's great. I also like to think with this one that I'm lifting up the hamstring right at the top rather than lifting the foot, because if we focus on lifting the foot, you often will bend your knee. So it's reach the foot and lift the hamstring. Yes, you feel that more in your seat now. Yes. So this is where it works right into the smiles, as Lolita would call them. That's it. Brilliant. Thank you. Now push back and have a little child pose. It's lovely to have a stretch out after that. Yep. Good. Now coming on to all fours, we're going to do a little cat stretch to help us find our quadruped position. So if you come forward a little bit more on the mat, there we go, perfect, because we're going to do cat stretch and then into knee hovers and jackrabbit to finish. So taking it more in the lower back. So this bit is easy, we can all do that because that's where we live. So start with the tailbone going round and then the rest of the spine follows like a Mexican wave, and then the same in reverse, take the tailbone out first and then like a Mexican wave we come out of it. Does that feel okay? And you can see we can really open up through the front of the body, a bit like our diamond press that we did before. Coming under with the pelvis and then send the tailbone out, lengthen out through the front as if you've got elastic attached to the pubic bone at the front and the top of your forehead. So it's getting pulled out and stretched and lengthened. Great. This time find the middle point, Louise, where you feel the length in the front of your body. The shoulder blades are hugging the ribs here. And then tuck your toes under. I like to think here that we're holding the ceiling up because our awareness is on the floors, on the mat underneath us, and so we can end up sinking down towards that. Whereas if we think about holding up the ceiling, then we're much stronger in the back of the body. So for some of you, this position, you might need some practice to get into that because of the flexibility of the feet and the ankle. So just working on this might be great for the first few weeks of doing the homework. Then what we're going to do, without lifting your pelvis in the air, you're going to start to move your knees forwards, which will peel them off. There you go. And you can see that work through the feet, and then you come back down. So we send the knees forwards, and then you reach the heels back and down. It's all right, isn't it? And Louise is going, oh, must remember and breathe, because now we get into something weight bearing, we end up holding our breath a bit more. So this time we're going to stay up, and then we're going to move back and forth using the push of the feet to propel forward and using the pull of the arms to come back. That's it. Last one. And then center, lower the knees and rest back into your little child pose. Isn't that fab? Great. Did we miss anything out? I think we're okay, aren't we? So we're going to roll up to standing to finish. Okay. So from here you come into a crouch position. So again, we've got that flexibility around the feet and the ankles. We're allowing the head to hang freely down towards the floor. Keep your hands glued to the floor to start with, so they're flat, and then the pelvis is going to come up just as high as it can whilst the hands stay down. So it's not going to be all the way, it's not going to be straight legs. So the feet go down, the hands go down, head's hanging, and you're there. And then we fold back into it. So those of you that run a lot, or even those of you sitting, go again, heels down, hands down, you might find that you get tight through the hamstrings. You can see there's a little judder there. That's definitely tightness through the hamstrings. This is really, really a helpful thing to do. So this time, you release your hands, you turn your pelvis down like the cat stretch we did a moment ago. You lead with the pelvis, and you roll all the way up to standing, ready to roll down again. Sending your feet into the ground and pouring out through the crown of the head, hanging the arms and rolling down, bending the knees as you need to, and then rolling back up. So we send the pelvis under, lift the hip bones up, and we restack. Let's go one more time. Crown of the head is pouring down towards the floor. Beautiful. Hanging there. And then turn the pelvis heavy through the feet. That's it. And stand tall. How nice. Well done, Louise. Thank you. Do you want to take a seat? So this is a small workout that you can do at home daily or every second day. It's designed to cover all of the needs of your body and combat everyday life. And we hope you enjoy, and we'll see you in class soon. Bye.